I want to share with you today is something called positive and negative reinforcement and punishment. This is all about influencing behavior, whether it's behavior for yourself, for a friend, for your coach trying to influence behavior on yourself, for an instructor trying to influencing behavior on their students. Positive and negative reinforcement help guide that person from point A to point B. Now, when we talk about reinforcement, what we're talking about is encouraging certain behaviors. So when we want to reinforce something, we want to do things that make people continue to want to do what they're doing. On the other hand, when we talk about punishment, we want to discourage behaviors. So if someone's doing something we don't want them to do, we want to be able to either add or take away a stimulus that discourages those specific behaviors. Now let's talk about positive versus negative. Positive is all about adding a stimulus, whereas negative is all about taking away a stimulus. So let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about a situation. You have an athlete. What do you do for that athlete when they're racing? You cheer for them, you clap for them. You encourage that behavior. That clapping, that cheering is adding a stimulus. Now let's talk about situations in which you would use both positive and negative situations and reinforcement and punishment. So let's talk about if someone's searching for a goal. Someone's searching for a goal. And what do you do for them when they're getting closer to their goal? You cheer for them. You try to encourage that behavior. That's the reinforcement. The cheering is adding a stimulus, so it's positive. That's called positive reinforcement. On the other hand, if someone has a goal and someone's running away from that goal, they're not getting towards it, they're running away from it, they're going the opposite direction, you may boo at them, all right? You tell them, no, you're going the wrong direction. No, that's not the way to go. Go the opposite direction. That's positive because you're adding a stimulus. You're booing at them. You're telling them, no, you're going the wrong way. But that's also punishment because they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that they're going the wrong direction. So in order to change that, they go the other direction. They turn around and pivot to allow themselves to change that behavior. So that's the difference between positive punishment and positive reinforcement. Now let's talk about negative reinforcement and negative punishment. When you talk about negative reinforcement, what we're talking about is the action of stopping those boos. So when someone runs the other direction from their goal and you're booing at them and they pivot and you stop booing at them, they realize, okay, I'm being encouraged now to look at this direction. That's called negative reinforcement. So you removed a stimulus that encourages their behavior. Whereas the other way, negative punishment, is where you're cheering for someone and they're running and they're running and they're doing the right thing, and then they pivot and go the wrong direction and you stop cheering. And they say, wait, why did the cheers disappear? That's called negative reinforcement or negative punishment, where they want those cheers, but they're not getting them anymore. And they question why. So then they start looking around and questioning what path they're actually on. That's what positive and negative reinforcement and punishment are all about. It's about having and helping someone guide them on certain paths. There's typically an activity that I do with all of my classes. So what I do is I take 3 volunteers. Sometimes volunteers, sometimes not. And I take 3 of them and I put them out in the hallway where they're isolated. They can't hear anything, they can't see anything. And I bring them in one at a time. Before I bring them in, I tell the classes what we're going to do. I'm going to bring in each volunteer one at a time. They're going to stand up in front of the room. We're going to provide them with a goal. That goal is to find the object in the room within 60 seconds. The entire class and I have agreed on what that object is. So we bring these volunteers in one at a time. They stand at the front of the class. The first one who comes in, we tell them, your goal is to find the object within 60 seconds. You can pick it up, ask me about it, and if it's not, I'll tell you yes or no, you can move on. While this is happening, the first person who comes in, anytime they get closer to the object, the class stays quiet. Anytime they move away from the object, the class boos at them. This allows them to understand, well, they're booing at me. I don't want them to boo at me. And so it makes them question what direction that they're going in. The second volunteer that comes in, they stand in the front of the class, tell them that they have a goal to find the object in 60 seconds, same object. But instead of staying quiet when they get closer and booing when they move away, we cheer for them as they get closer and stop cheering when they move away. This allows them to understand and encourage them to continue on the path that they're going. And it's very clear when everyone stops cheering that, oh, something's going on. The third volunteer that comes in, they come in and stand in front of the class, gives them 60 seconds to find the object, say go. This third person we say, and we cheer for them as they get closer to the object, and we boo at them when they move away from the object. Now, obviously in a class, small class of 20 to 30 students, it doesn't always work out well. There's different personalities within all of those three volunteers. But generally speaking, the research shows that those of which who have positive and negative reinforcement and punishment find the goal and find the object much more quickly and much more effectively than those who just have negative, just have positive, just have reinforcement, just have punishment. So it's the combined efforts of being able to guide someone and say, yes, you're going in the right direction, keep going, and also telling them you're going the wrong direction, you're doing the wrong thing, you need to pivot and get on the right path. It's a combination of both of those things that allows someone to get to their goal more effectively. And that, as coaches, as instructors, as friends, we have to encourage other people to be on those right paths. That's positive and negative reinforcement and punishment. So thank you for coming through this discussion. Please leave any comments that you have in the comments section, and I'll answer them when I can. So enjoy, stay healthy, and we'll talk soon.